Hello, this is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and we have a bit of a tense Scorpio first quarter moon to talk about. So why don't we get started? Now, lunations in Scorpio may traditionally be difficult or tricky. We know that the moon is technically in its fall here. And the moon loves Taurus because it loves to be able to nurture its emotional needs. In Scorpio, it feels like it needs to compete with others. It feels like there's already an abundance. And how do we make sense of what's present? What do I need versus what do you need that's here? And how do we do that identifying work? This first quarter moon in Scorpio is one that is meant to show us our progress. The first quarter moon shows us what began at the new moon and what's expected at the full moon, and where we are in that process is the first quarter moon. How are we doing? What are the efforts that we're able to put in, and what am I seeing manifest from those efforts? This first quarter moon, by that definition, may not feel very good. We've had Mars oppose Saturn in the days leading up to this first quarter moon, which means that Mars ruling this first quarter moon in Scorpio is maybe a bit frustrated about some sort of limitation or limitations it has encountered while trying to do that work initiated by the Cancer new moon. Leading up to this lunation, we also had the Sun oppose Pluto, which we talked about the moon doing at that Cancer new moon. And we also encountered our first square between Pluto and the nodes newly on the Aries-Libra axis. Also leading up to this first quarter moon, we have Chiron stationing retrograde on Sunday the 23rd. And on that same day, we have Mercury square Uranus. Mercury in Leo thinks, I know exactly what's going on. And Uranus in Taurus says, I don't think you do. This is a lot of information leading up to a first quarter moon in which we expect ourselves to be making progress. Mercury square to Uranus throws us for a loop. Everything we think we've collected suddenly needs to change. New ideas are forcing their way into the conversation, or something erratic is pulling our attention away from what we've been working on to handle something else. Additionally, Chiron stationing retrograde is bringing the most potent energy of our never-ending wound to the forefront for this moment, to ask us what progress we've made with that wound and what we may need to do to go back a few steps and focus on something that's asking for our attention now within us, about who we are, how we're allowed to be. If you watched last week's video on this Cancer new moon, you saw that we pulled the Sun, which was all about connecting with that inner radiance, connecting with that sense of self. Chiron stationing retrograde here may be reminding us that even though we've seen and accepted all of ourselves, there's still a little bit more that we want to do there for ourselves regarding what that wound currently feels like. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that first Pluto square to the nodes. Right before the moon enters Scorpio for this first quarter moon, we have our second Pluto nodal square. This is the second of 3 that's all happening within this span of 1 week. So knowing that the second Pluto nodal square is lining up with this Scorpio first quarter moon, we may still be in the process of evolving in ways that will help us make the progress that we're seeking. Mars opposite Saturn certainly had us stopped in our tracks for some time, and we may still be feeling that. And so where we look for external avenues through, we may actually be called within to see what is shedding away or what's able to be composted within us that actually opens up new possibilities for us that weren't visible before. There are not many conversations surrounding this first quarter moon on the days after the moon squares the sun. Most notably, the conversation that stands out to me post this lunation is Mercury conjoining Venus, who is currently retrograde in Leo. Now, this may be where Mercury previously experienced frustration in that square to Uranus, may find some new connections, may find some new resources, especially with Venus station being retrograde, moving backward, as it were. Venus may be reviewing connections and resources and relational needs that Mercury is able to begin processing from that conjunction. And Mercury may be able to be part of that evolution process in figuring out what is next for us as we evolve into this new self-aware self. So let's go ahead and take a look at, we'll review the cards that we pulled at the Cancer new moon, and then we'll get a look at what cards come up for us to help us better understand this Scorpio first quarter moon. See you there.
Okay, so here we are taking a quick glimpse back at the cards that we pulled for our Cancer new moon. If you did not check out that video, go ahead, take a moment, head over there now, and we'll be waiting for you when you get back. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, at this first quarter moon, we are asking about the energy that is accumulating now. We are looking at doubts and complications that may arise with this energy that is accumulating. I think we talked a lot about that. We are looking at gifts that we can work with regarding this energy that's accumulating. And lastly, we are asking about lessons that we are able to utilize and make sense of as we approach the full moon. That Mars in Virgo is ready to learn. Absolutely. Okay. Let's get a look. Okay. So, energy that is accumulating now is the Four of Cups. Okay. I love this as an invitation. All right. We just talked a lot about we don't know what's happening, right? The information is changing. We talked about that Mercury-Uranus square. We talked about Sun opposing Pluto. We talked about Pluto squaring the nodes. All of this being a lot of change, a lot of confrontation, a lot of rerouting. So it makes a lot of sense that we're taking our time in making decisions. We know with the Four that we're building up to a foundation. We know that with the Cups, this is emotional. And the hesitation here may be warranted. The hesitation being that once I fully invest, once I build this into my foundation, I will have something to lose. That is what happens when we invest emotionally. We stand to be hurt, to be disappointed, to have our hearts broken. We know that the Five follows this, which is that we have endured the pain. We have experienced the loss. Something that we invested in has spilled, if you think about that classic Five of Cups image. So our hesitation here may be very valid. We really may be taking our time, deciding within our hearts what something's going to be worth, deciding what our heart even wants as we are evolving at this time. Knowing that our feelings are changing as we go through this process, and really just sitting with what's appearing before us, making that sound decision, and kind of waiting for more information. We may be doing this to a fault, and that's where we'll see what else is here, but I want to say, I'll repeat this. This feels warranted given all of the astrological weather, and knowing that Mercury will meet Venus, who's retrograde, after this lunation, kind of seeing what connections are worthwhile, perhaps, and knowing that Mercury in Leo is ruling Mars in Virgo. Okay. So then, doubts and complications that arise with this energy. Can I do it? Do I have the power to make what I want to make? Again, Mars having just opposed Saturn, we may be feeling like I don't have the energy. I'm not connected to kind of that magical ether space to create what I know I want to make happen. And this is a queen, so this means that we are far along in this process of mastery, and we may be worried that we can't continue this journey. We may be worried that we've done all this work, but we don't have Wands energy just being that like infinite passion. Maybe I don't know what I'm investing in because I'm not sure what I have the heart for in this time. Okay. Gifts that we can work with regarding this Four of Cups energy is the Six of Swords. Oh, well, we are invited to walk away from things that are no longer worth the fight. We know that the Five of Swords preceding this is kind of a battle with no winners. It's like everyone loses. Casual. It's a lot of defeat. Everyone's kind of defeated. In the Six, we recognize that we have the power to walk away. I'll always point out this little man on the motorcycle who, well, I don't know if it's a man, this figure on the motorcycle. I say man because it reminds me of my dearly departed father. So we see this figure on the motorcycle, and this figure is able to drive away, knowing that something will light up wherever they're headed. There is light incoming. This is not a total surrender, but it is recognizing where we're done, where we are exhausted, where we have put in as much willpower, swords, as we are capable of, and there's nothing left for us here. So I really like this as a gift that we can work with regarding this uncertainty. I don't know what to invest in yet emotionally, but something that can help me is by getting clear on what I can walk away from mentally. Lessons that we can make sense of or utilize here as we approach the full moon. Okay, we've had a couple of happy endings so far in this Cancer lunation cycle leading into this Scorpio first quarter moon. So I like that we're facing something challenging, but we're keeping in mind the end goal. Lessons we can make sense of or utilize is really putting ourselves into what's actually going to make us happy. This isn't the Ten of Cups where we see cups here where we're talking about emotional fulfillment. This is tangible, resource, physical, abundance. Those were some phrases that didn't really create a sentence. This is really about what we want for ourselves materially, and I don't want that to feel bad. We are humans in a material body. We need material resources. So if anything, this may be a time where we're getting clear on what we don't think is worth it, but ultimately actually really giving ourselves the end goal vision that we want. We don't have to be in charge of making all of this happen, but we do need to think that some of it's possible. That's the download I just got. We don't have to be in a place where we can make this happen right away, but we do need to make decisions from a place of believing we're moving toward this in some fashion. If we don't think this is possible for us, then what the hell are we doing over here? Of course we don't know what to invest in because we're not actually giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt that we might have what we want in the end. Ooh, I need to hear that just as much as you did. So, I'm going to hold on to that with y'all. But this is important. Lessons I can make sense of are I need to actually know what my end goal is, what I think is possible for me, what I think I can have that I could share with others, to understand what kind of hesitation I'm experiencing right now, as well as what I'm able to walk away from. If you are not in my 10 of Pentacles, then you're not worth investing in or sticking around for. If I am thinking that I'm not capable of creating this doubt is going to keep me in this place for a lot longer than I might need to be. And it might keep me in this place a lot longer than I need to be. So, I'm going to say I love that we've got each of the elements represented here, and this kind of paints a big picture for me. We may make choices that fulfill some of these elements, but not others. We may think that we mentally have to do something, but we can't have something physical. We may think that the emotion is there, but the passion is not. This feels kind of like a getting clear on maybe some bigger picture temperance vibes if we're thinking about the four elements and being in balance with them. What does that look like for you right now? If you're selling yourself short, which feels like a real Pentacles phrase, then these things will be much harder to move through. But if you can actually get clear on what an end goal looks like for you, as well as the belief that you can make it happen while releasing the responsibility of making it all happen, the 10 is shared, then we'll have a much easier time moving through this process. So, all right. This feels spicy in a really electric, catalyzing way. I am excited. So if you enjoyed this, please like this video, please share it, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how this resonates for you in the comments. And I will see you in a week for our Aquarius full moon pull. See you then.